Did you know that from the moment you begin a fast, heaven erupts into supernatural activity that you can't even imagine? While you're feeling hungry down here on earth, armies of angels are receiving their marching orders from the throne room of God. Statistics show that less than 10% of Christians regularly fast, and the enemy is very much aware of this and is celebrating this ignorance. But if most believers truly knew the supernatural power that is released upon them during a fast, they will never go through their lives without fasting. Let me explain. From the moment you begin your fast, the Holy Spirit carries your sacrifice directly into the throne room of God. But here's where it gets incredible. In the spirit realm, fasting is considered a sacrifice, and the interesting thing is that the spirit realm always responds and respects a person who offers a sacrifice. When you decide to give up your food in exchange for something spiritual, heaven responds with a different type of attention you'd normally not get. Think about it like this. If a parent has a child, and that child has the habit of crying, there might be a few times that parent might let that child cry. But if a child refuses to eat for a few hours, that parent stops everything he or she is doing and takes that seriously. This is the same way God views your fasting. He knows that you rely on physical food for survival, but when you put aside your food in order to seek Him, He treats that sacrifice as a high priority. In Philippians chapter 4 verse 18, Paul describes our spiritual offerings as an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to God. Your fast becomes a fragrant offering that rises before the Almighty like incense. The moment your fast reaches heaven, God doesn't just acknowledge it, He mobilizes His angelic forces to act on your behalf. In Psalm 103 verse 20, we read about angels who excel in strength, that do His commandments, hearkening unto the voice of His word. Your fasting becomes the voice of His word that activates angelic activities. When Daniel began his 21-day fast, the angel told him in Daniel chapter 10 verse 12, "Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words." Notice that phrase, from the first day. From the very first moment you humble yourself through fasting, heaven takes notice, and angels are dispatched. When you fast, angels receive specific assignments related to your situation. These aren't random assignments. They're strategic, purposeful missions designed to align with God's will for your life. In Hebrews chapter 1 verse 14, angels are described as ministering spirits, sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation. This means angels work on your behalf and take instructions. But here's what's fascinating. The intensity of angelic activity increases based on the depth of your fast. A casual skipping of one meal might stir some heavenly activity, but a consecrated fast with genuine spiritual hunger creates what I call an angelic storm in the heavenly realm. Every time you fast, you're not just dealing with physical hunger, you're engaging in spiritual warfare. The enemy has assigned demonic forces to block your prayers, delay your breakthrough, and keep you from your destiny. But fasting changes the spiritual atmosphere in ways that demons cannot withstand. In Daniel chapter 10 verse 13, the angel explains to Daniel about the spiritual battle. "But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia." This reveals that Daniel's fasting didn't just send one angel. It escalated the situation until the archangel Michael himself got involved. The demonic prince was actively fighting against Daniel's breakthrough, but the sustained fasting created enough spiritual pressure that heaven sent reinforcements. This is why the enemy fights so hard against your fasting. He knows that when you fast, you're not just giving up food, you're activating a level of spiritual authority that he cannot match. Every missed meal becomes a spiritual missile launched into his kingdom. One of the most powerful things that happens in heaven when you fast is what I call supernatural acceleration. In 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, we're told that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. When you fast, you're stepping into this divine time zone where God can accomplish in days what might normally take years. The angels assigned to your situation don't just work during your fasting period. They continue their assignments until the breakthrough manifests. Your fast becomes the catalyst that sets in motion a series of supernatural events that may unfold over weeks, months, or even years. The more consistently you fast, the more angels become familiar with your spiritual frequency. In Revelation chapter 8, verse 4, we see that the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. This suggests that angels are actively involved in presenting our prayers and spiritual sacrifices to God. When you fast regularly, these angels become like spiritual assistants who know your voice, understand your needs, and are ready to move the moment you begin seeking God through fasting. When angels mobilize on your behalf, it affects the spiritual atmosphere over your family, your city, and even your nation. In Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30, God says, "I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none." When you fast, you become that person who stands in the gap. Your sacrifice creates a spiritual covering that protects and blesses others. The angels assigned to your fast don't just focus on your personal needs. They work to establish God's kingdom in every area your life touches. Your workplace, your neighborhood, your children's schools. All of these become theaters of angelic activity because of your commitment to fasting. When you fast, you gain access to heaven's intelligence network. Angels don't just fight battles, they gather information, provide wisdom, and reveal strategies that you would never discover on your own. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 5, when Elijah was exhausted and discouraged, an angel touched him and said unto him, "Arise and eat." This angel didn't just provide food, he provided exactly what Elijah needed at exactly the right moment. Angels have access to divine intelligence about your situation that goes beyond human understanding. When you fast, angels don't just respond to your current situation, they begin working on your future. In Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24, God declares, "Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear." Your fast activates this prophetic dimension where angels begin preparing for prayers you haven't even prayed yet. This is why many people experience breakthrough in areas they weren't even fasting about. The angels mobilized by your fast have access to God's complete plan for your life, and they work to align every detail with His perfect will. When believers fast together, the angelic response multiplies exponentially. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 19, Jesus promised, "If two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven." Corporate fasting creates what I call an angelic convergence, where multiple assignments merge into one powerful supernatural operation. One of the most overlooked aspects of fasting is how it creates a protective shield around your life. In Psalm 34, verse 7, we're told, "The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them." Angels literally set up camp around your life, creating a supernatural barrier that the enemy cannot penetrate. Angels mobilized through fasting have the power to restore what the enemy has stolen. In Joel chapter 2, verse 25, God promises, "I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten." The angels activated by your fast don't just fight current battles, they work to recover everything the enemy has taken from you. This restoration happens on multiple levels: spiritual, emotional, physical, and financial. Angels have access to resources in the heavenly realm that they can manifest in the earthly realm when your fast creates the spiritual conditions for breakthrough. The angels mobilized by your fast don't just complete their assignments and leave, they create a legacy of supernatural intervention that affects generations. In Exodus chapter 23, verse 20, God promised, "Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared." This guardian angel assignment often extends beyond your lifetime, creating a spiritual inheritance for your children and grandchildren. Your commitment to fasting establishes angelic watches that protect and guide your family line for generations to come. When you understand what happens in heaven when you fast, you realize that you're not just skipping meals, you're participating in cosmic warfare where the victory is already assured. In 1 John chapter 4 verse 4, we're reminded that greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The next time you feel called to fast, remember that you're not just embarking on a personal spiritual discipline, you're triggering a supernatural chain reaction that mobilizes heaven's armies on your behalf. Thank you for watching. If you love our videos, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel.